Welcome to Whispering Cabins, where we share cozy horror tales of ghosts, folklore, and forgotten places. So grab a blanket, light a candle, and settle in. The night is waiting. Tonight, we tell the story of the box in the attic. The Ashfords had never expected to end up in Maple Hollow. The small New England town was tucked away on the edge of a lake, its streets lined with sugar maples and white-steepled churches. When Daniel and Claire first pulled up the gravel drive with their 2 children, the house felt like something from a storybook. Cedar shingles weathered to soft grey, wide porches with curling vines, and windows that glowed warmly in the late afternoon sun. "It's perfect," Claire had whispered, squeezing Daniel's hand. But old houses carry their histories in quiet ways. The first week passed without much notice. They unpacked, hung curtains, and tried out the creaky clawfoot tub. The children, Anna, 12, and Jonah, 8, ran through the rooms, delighted by the house's quirks. A hidden cupboard under the stairs, glass knobs that caught the light like jewels, wallpaper yellowed but patterned with tiny climbing roses. It was Anna who first noticed the rocking chair. Every evening, when she checked on Jonah after he fell asleep, the old chair in the corner would be moving gently, as if rocked by a breeze. The windows, though, stayed shut tight. "It's not scary," she insisted one morning over oatmeal. "It's like someone's sitting with him, watching." Daniel chuckled. "Houses creak, drafts move things, that's all." But Claire frowned. She had smelled lavender the night before while folding laundry, a scent faint and fleeting, though no soaps or sachets in the house carried it. By the second week, there were whispers. Not words exactly, but soft humming, drifting down from the attic after dark. The melody was slow, mournful, yet strangely tender. Daniel tried to laugh it off. "Settling beams," he said, "the wind." But one night, as he lay awake beside Claire, he heard it clearly, low, human, unmistakable. The next day, curiosity overcame denial. They decided to investigate the attic together. The attic was a world apart from the rest of the house. Dust motes swam in the lantern light, and the air was thick with cedar and old paper. Boxes leaned tiredly against each other, and quilts lay folded in brittle heaps. The humming had stopped when they opened the hatch, leaving only silence, taut and waiting. It was Jonah who pointed to the corner. "There," he said softly. Beneath the quilt spotted with age was a wooden box, no larger than a bread loaf, bound with a brass latch dulled by years. Claire lifted it onto a trunk. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then with a careful hand, Anna undid the latch. Inside lay pressed violets, their color faint but intact, a bundle of sepia photographs, and a small diary bound in cracked leather. Across the first page, written in an elegant looping script, was a name: Margaret Hale. The Ashfords took turns reading the diary by lantern light. Margaret had lived in the house more than a century before. Her entries painted a portrait of a life both ordinary and tender, tending gardens, hosting neighbors for tea, baking bread in the big stone oven. But as the pages turned, the writing grew heavier. Margaret's husband, Samuel, had been a sailor who never returned from his last voyage. Loneliness seeped into the entries. She wrote of humming to herself at night to fill the silence. She pressed flowers to keep beauty close when her garden failed. She dreamed of children in the halls, but bore none of her own. The final entry was short, the ink blurred by what might have been tears. September 3rd, 1892. The nights are so long. I only hope this house remembers me kindly when I am gone. When Anna finished reading aloud, the attic seemed to exhale. The lantern's flame steadied, and the faint scent of lavender filled the air, sweet and unmistakable. From then on, the hauntings softened. The rocking chair swayed only at night, and Jonah reported feeling tucked in by something unseen. Anna often found the vase of wildflowers she'd left on the attic sill rearranged, tidier, more deliberate, as though someone had taken the time to care for them. Claire began to hum while she cooked, and sometimes, impossibly, a second voice joined hers for just a note or two, like harmony. There were still moments of unease, a cold brush of air when no windows were open, the sound of footsteps on the landing late at night. Margaret Hale was no longer a shadow lurking in the corners. She was part of the rhythm of the house, as woven into it as the beams and floorboards. One night in October, as leaves rattled across the porch, Anna sat up in bed and whispered into the dark, "We found your box. We know who you are." The lavender scent bloomed suddenly, filling the room. The rocking chair shifted once, then stilled. Anna smiled. For the first time, the humming from the attic sounded less like sorrow and more like a lullaby. In Maple Hollow, neighbors often said the house had a glow about it. Visitors noticed the warmth, the way the air felt soft and lived in. Few knew the truth, that a woman long gone still lingered there, not to frighten, but to keep watch. But as the months passed, the Ashfords noticed something strange. The flowers Anna left on the attic sill began to wither faster, as though plucked of their life. Claire woke some mornings with the taste of salt on her lips, like she had been crying in her sleep. Jonah once swore that a pale woman sat on the edge of his bed, brushing his hair back from his forehead with ice-cold fingers. And though Margaret's humming still floated through the attic at night, it no longer sounded lonely. It sounded full, stronger, almost as if the house itself was remembering how to breathe again. Thank you for joining us tonight at Whispering Cabins, where we tell cozy horror tales. If you enjoyed The Box in the Attic, be sure to subscribe for more eerie stories. Until next time, keep warm, keep the lantern lit, and listen closely. Sometimes the shadows have stories to tell.